Hello everybody and welcome to the pilot episode of the Treehouse Recorder. I'm your host Benny Mills and thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully if it all goes well, we'll have more monthly installments coming your way soon. You can follow the show on Facebook, on Twitter at TheTRPod, and on Instagram at the Treehouse Recorder. But without further ado, let's jump right into today's show about all things House of Mouse with my good friend Jeff Delaroy. My first guest is a very good friend of mine and co-producer of this very podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and talented Mr. Jeff Delaroy.
Hello.
Hey, there he is, right there.
I need to give myself my applause.
There we go. Yes. I'll do that on my end as well. All right. So Jeff, what was kind of your introduction to Disney? Like, what kind of rang your bell? What kind of got you into it?
I don't know. It's hard to tell where it started. If I had to pick one, if I had to pinpoint it to one, this is it, I guess it'd be my mom, because my mom always loved Disney. Whenever a movie came out, she was the first to get I had all these the storybooks, the Disney storybooks growing up for each movie. Yeah. And then she always got the VHS, and then if there was any kind of stuffed animal that came out with it, she had to get it. So
yes. Was there any particular character or movie that she was into?
All of them. I can't think of one specific one that was this is it, this is her favorite, but it's all of them, because I had every VHS growing up.
Yeah, same here. I still have we're just moving out of my mom's house, and there is literally a full video rack of Disney, those gigantic, big case of VHSs, and they're completely useless. Will not get rid of those at all.
No, they're not useless at all. They're part of the collection. You can't get rid of them.
Well, yeah. Oh, no, yeah. I'm going to put them in storage, like at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's where all my Disney VHSs are going to go. But now, like we were saying before we got on the air, that you basically have Mickey-shaped everything.
Gosh. Yeah, I have a Mickey-shaped everything, pretty much. Or, okay, maybe not Mickey-shaped, Mickey-themed for sure. My entire kitchen, teapot, spoon holder, or the spoon, whatever that thing is when you're cooking and you want to put your spoon somewhere for the sauces.
Your spoon holder.
Yeah. Well, because I have that, but then I actually have an actual case that holds my wooden spoons.
That's awesome. Yeah, for me, I actually probably my very first memory I have of anything ever is The Little Mermaid when I saw it in theaters. Specifically the Kiss the Girl sequence, because I remember they're in the bayou, they're in that little boat, and then there's the little fireflies swinging around, and then there's the flamingos doing their dance number. And obviously the message of Kiss the Girl did not really go far beyond that. But yeah, that was probably my first memory. And like you too, it was Mom got me all the VHSs, and we went to go see every single movie. I guess technically my first movie I ever saw was Oliver and Company, and so that would have been even a year before Little Mermaid. But I was one and a half maybe when that came out.
Obviously my mom and all the things. She loved Disney, and obviously became part of me too. But when I think of my first memories, it's listed in my baby book that Little Mermaid was the first movie I saw in theaters, and I can, if I want to, I'm not sure if I actually remember this or if I'm just trying to pretend I remember it. In the opening scene with the waves, and they're singing, the sailors are all singing their folklore
Fathoms
song.
Below.
I kind of, I don't know if I actually remember, or if I'm just pretending in my mind I remember it, but for sure, actually, this just hit me. So I was gonna say for sure, it's Beauty and the Beast. I remember when the title comes up and you have that beautiful calligraphy that spells out beauty. I definitely
remember that slow fade.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Onto the country house.
Yeah,
okay.
I definitely remember that as a child. But then I realized Rescuers Down Under came out before Beauty and the Beast, and I definitely remember the opening to that.
Yes, that's a great opening too, and they do that long tracking shot towards the, and then I just love. There was a wonderful Australian craze in the late 80s, early 90s, like which I love too, that Disney caved in on too. And they had that really cool kangaroo rat character.
Yeah, I'm glad
that
they did.
too.
You know, I would go ahead and say Rescuers Down Under is one of the really underrated. It's a really
so
good
underrated.
movie. I mean,
And John Candy is in it. You know, it's really good.
When you come out between, I mean, you have Little Mermaid, Rescuers Down Under, and then Beauty and the Beast. I can understand like how it kind of gets forgotten in the mix of the Disney Renaissance, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah, because it's not one of those big, you know, classic fairy tale archetype, you know, movies, but it's really good, and the animation is beautiful, and you know, I think it holds up. It really holds up.
Yeah, and that's what I remember is the animation in the very beginning when you're just like moving really fast over that field over to, you know, Cody's house, and I was really impressed with that.
Mm-hmm. I do know that is the first full Disney feature that used computer inking and painting and like their cap system. That's like Little Mermaid was the last ink and paint, classic ink and paint Disney movie, and then ever since Rescuers Down Under to now, essentially when they're all CG, that's when it was all computer. And so I always thought that was pretty cool. But,
I didn't know, because I thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought that clock tower scene in Great Mouse Detective had a little bit of CG in it.
Yeah, they started to do it there, and actually with Pixar, they used the Pixar computer to do all that stuff. So, but I know they did a little bit of that. I think there's like one or two sequences in Little Mermaid where they used CG, I think, if I recall correctly. I do know specifically they were looking to maybe use some of it for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but everyone said absolutely not. It's just it's supposed to look like a 1940s cartoon. We're gonna have absolutely no modern technology influencing that. And that's that'll tie us in. That's my personal favorite Disney movie of all time. Now it's not like in terms of classical Disney canon, I would say probably Aladdin's my favorite Disney feature. I just love the animation design of that. That's kind of the one that really sent me over the edge. Like I remember my Abu bed sheets and all that stuff, and I loved the genie and all that, and the music, and it's just so snappy. It's really it's probably one of the more cartoony out of all their movies. And that's also why I like Roger Rabbit a lot too. But so if you had to, if gun pointed to your head, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Oh my God, I was dreading this question.
I know. We talked about this.
So I have this conversation with myself a lot in my kitchen. I just talk to myself. I answer myself. So I got to it. So I thought you could do it multiple ways. You got your classic kind of 2D, you know, Disney animated film. You got your Marvel. You got your Star Wars live action.
Yes, yeah. We'll basically say like pre-Mega Empire. So like maybe like before like the 2000s.
Okay, because then after that you got your new, you know, your kind of second Disney Renaissance starting with Tangled, and then you got all the Pixar movies too.
Yeah, exactly. So
I kind of picked my favorite from each group, and then kind of picked my favorite from the remainders.
Okay.
And I you know, it was a journey of self-discovery. I discovered a lot about myself about which one would be my favorite. So it really comes down to...
A lot of soul-searching.
So it really came down to my favorite 2D animated film, which is Beauty and the Beast.
Nice.
My favorite kind of CGI one, what I call the second Disney Renaissance, you know, starting with Tangled and up to Zootopia. And for that, it was Wreck-It Ralph.
Very good call.
And then for Pixar, it's Inside Out. So it's really between those three, and I think overall, I just have to go with Beauty and the Beast. I mean, I love Wreck-It Ralph. I love Inside Out. They're perfect films in my mind. But Beauty and the Beast, it just kind of set the stage for something that I don't think the world was quite expecting. It has a level of magic that I don't think the world was expecting either. I love the detail in the animation when you look at the castle, when you look at the characters. I love that I can look at Lumiere, Cogsworth. I don't even have to hear them talk. I can look at them and I know the kind of character they are. It was a home run.
Yeah, no, great choice. And that's just like Disney incarnate. That's just like what a Disney animated feature should be. And it was the first one nominated for Best Picture outright. This is, you know, years before their Best Animated Feature category. It was just that good. They're just like, no, this needs to be this is a great movie. This is a Best Picture worthy movie.
It should also be stated of when it was nominated for Best Picture, because back then they still only did 5 films for Best Picture. So, I mean, now you get like, you know, 9 or 10 films nominated, and back then you only got 5. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive.
That shows how remarkable it was. It's the Cab Savvy Chronicles, presented by Sammy Freedom Cigarettes, flavor and style from cradle to grave. And now, dear friends, we take you to the Golden Mole Lounge on the rain-soaked streets of Manhattan. Private investigator Cab Savvy is now just entering the establishment, leaving his soaked umbrella and overcoat with the doorman.
Hot day at the office, sir? I don't know, kid. Let's find out. Hold all my calls. I got a 5 o'clock. Sir, the end table, please. Yep, it's gonna be a doozy, kid.
The stumbling detective brushes himself off and makes his way through the sea of reprobates to Bonnie behind the bar, proprietor of the Golden Mole.
Looks like you've been working overtime, Cab. Maybe some fresh country air would do you good.
You know me too well, Bonnie. You know I'm a workaholic. So, you got my time card?
No fooling, Cab.
I'll have a glass of water, please.
You got it, Toots. And here's the Evening Standard to chase it down. Hot off the presses.
Bonnie hands Cab a folder filled with photographs. Rows of German Messerschmitts line the great grassy field of an American Air Force base.
God, this is some fresh country air. This from upstate?
Yep. Johnny sent them to me yesterday. Ain't right the sergeant chews him out of duck and training exercises when they got a Nazi wolf in the backyard.
That fella of yours might not be such a dope after all. Shame he took you off the market before going into the service.
Who said Johnny was the one that put this ring on my finger?
You're a dish and a half, Bonnie. How about a shot for good luck?
I'll make it a double.
Now that's more like it.
Bonnie pours whiskey into 2 shot glasses.
One for the piss,
She hands one to Cab,
and 2 for the vinegar.
and Bonnie downs the second shot.
I stand corrected. That's more like it.
I'm end of shift, Chucklehead. If you're going to the base upstate, you're gonna need someone to get you in. I'll call us a taxi to get to the station.
Don't you need me to square up with you first?
Oh, I'm not paying for the taxi.
Sir, the china and the end table. I'm afraid you're going to have to do something about this.
I'm not paying for that either.
Swell. Here's a couple bucks, kid. Tell the boss the rest will come when they start watering down the hooch at this joint. I'm 47.
You're all wet, Savvy. A taxi!
A taxi screeches to the front of the Golden Mole.
Where to, Mac? And, Mrs. Mac?
Grand Central. And step on it.
That concludes tonight's episode of the Cab Savvy Chronicles, presented by Sammy Freedom Cigarettes. So smooth on your T-zone, they'll take your breath away. Now stay tuned for Amos and Andy. Oh, Jesus! Now, okay. I know we're kind of jumping around here, but that's kind of the point. But you saw the 2017 Beauty and the Beast live action
I did.
remake. Yes, and so having seen that, and I've seen it too, how do you coalesce the two? Like what's your relationship between the two?
I think the 2017 one was as good as it was unnecessary.
Yes, exactly my feeling.
When you look at kind of the live action remakes like Cinderella or Jungle Book, and maybe Lion King, I'm still have mixed feelings on that, and Aladdin.
I am very worried about Lion King.
But like Jungle Book,
I'll fight you on Jungle Book, but
Jungle Book, you can look at Jungle Book and be like, okay, the original one from the 60s, it has the songs it's well known for, it has beautiful, like the jungle's wonderfully animated, it's animated. It's like 9 old men, traditional Disney.
It's the best Disney character animation in any movie is the Jungle Book.
It's fantastic.
I will defend that. Yeah.
And then the new one that Jon Favreau directed, you can tell there's more from the source material, and it's like he wasn't like remaking the Jungle Book. He was going, okay, here's my interpretation, but I'm going to put some things in there like the songs, kind of a throwback. But it's a new Jungle Book essentially. And
it is, but it merited being remade. That was my thing with it. And it's clearly made by someone who loved the original 1967 movie.
It did, and I can watch both of them and be like, and get 2 different films and enjoy each one separately and for separate reasons. So I think
I don't even think you can compare the two really because they're just separate movies. They're
they really
made
are.
by Disney, but they're separate movies. So, but But with Beauty and the Beast, it's just they're not adding anything to it.
Well, so that's
they're-
my criteria for all these remakes and everything is if you're going to remake a movie, do something different, like the Jungle Book did. I mean, it's a whole new Jungle Book. Or do something that makes me want to be like, oh my gosh, that's really new and inventive. I want to see it. And I think Beauty and the Beast was the exact opposite. I mean, it's not necessarily shot for shot, but it's almost scene for scene, the same as.
And they have the same music cues and you know with the with the piano cues and all that.
I think there were. I think the script was well adapted to be live action. Just the kind of the little tweaks they did to it. But there was just nothing that I needed out of it. There was nothing I needed out of it that made me go, wow, that's excellent.
No. And going back to your point with Lumiere and Cogsworth, I just hate how the objects look in the new one.
Well, yeah,
it really was creepy.
When I said like
they're not warm and
when I can look at the animated Lumiere and Cogsworth, I don't have to hear them talk or hear any dialogue. I can look at them. I know their characters. Because they're animated that way and just wonderful. Like I look at them and like Lumiere with his the big lower lip and the way he moves his shoulders, I know he's that kind of like suave French.
Yeah, he's all sex. That candlestick is all sex.
Ewan McGregor, I did not get that at all. I look at him, I just see this steel.
That broke my heart because it's well. Also, and believe me, I love Ewan McGregor. I think he's a fantastic actor. I will support him basically almost in anything. I hated his French accent. I know. I don't know why they couldn't get. He sounds like Ricky. It's like Ricky Ricardo seeing Be Our Guest. It's like, what the hell? If I'm putting my Disney executive hat on here, you're reintroducing your catalog to a new generation of fans, and I think there's some merit in that too. But it's like they were re-releasing their animated features for a long time. Like my mom saw they did a re-release of Snow White in the 70s, and they did that with all of their movies. They just kept bringing them back out, and that's how you don't have to remake what's already perfect. That's what kind of irritates me a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what really annoyed me about Beauty and the Beast. Like, I'm going back to Jungle Book here just because it's an easy one. When they remade it, it's like, okay, they're doing a whole new Jungle Book. Beauty and the Beast, it seemed like it's almost as if they were saying, you know what? It would have been better if it was live action, but we just didn't have it back then, but we have it now, so let's do it right. It's like, no, you had it right.
Yes, which is why even though I love Jon Favreau, and I was really impressed, because again, I was very leery of Jungle Book initially, but I love what Jon Favreau did with it. But when I heard he was doing Lion King, again, that's a perfect movie, and because also all the animals are animated, and so you're not actually going to get a lion or a hyena or a mandrill, a live action to do what you want them to do. So they're still technically going to be animated. They're just going to be CG. So I don't know how he's going to make it different or make it valuable.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I'm right there with you, but I'm excited to see what happens.
I know. I will say this about all of the Disney live-action remakes is that they do have an amazing cast. They do cast actors very well. Like with The Lion King, I also thought it was interesting too that all the lions are being portrayed by black actors.
I really what's his name? Cool. Who's playing Simba? He's in
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, yes. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Good. So again, good.
And they got James Earl Jones back too, didn't they?
Yep, to be Mufasa. Yeah. And but again, it's like, Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner makes sense as Timon and Pumbaa. It makes sense. It works. But Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella are still alive. I don't know what they're saying.
I think that has to be like a standard before you remake a movie. Is most of the cast has to have passed away.
I know. See, that's yeah.
Like I don't know why, but I'm surprisingly okay with Pinocchio being redone. And I love Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Pinocchio, I think, is fantastic. It's dark. It's scary. I just love just how I just love it I love everything about Pinocchio. And surprisingly, I'm okay with them redoing that. And there's a lot. And there's another one where they have enough source material where they can make a whole new movie.
And that source material is super dark. Like I believe Pinocchio hangs himself at some point?
I don't
Or
remember.
something like-
I don't know about that for sure, but I know he kills Jiminy Cricket. He smashes with a hammer, and Jiminy Cricket
Jesus.
Yeah, Jiminy Cricket comes back as a ghost to be his conscience. I'm not
So he's
100%
it's like a
on-
Christmas Carol.
not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went down.
Oh my god. Wow.
If you've made it this far into the show, first of all, thank you. You must be wonderfully deranged, and I love you for it. But secondly, I imagine you've been thinking about the title. Why is it called the Treehouse Recorder? Well, man-child that I am, I just wanted to hang out with my friends and geek out over movies, other things we like, talk about love, life itself, and be a little naughty while we do it. But more specifically, I've been creating little shows and doing silly voices for a very, very long time.
Okay, it's time for another Insane Asylum news break. Let's get right to the news. The Daily Crap. Well, today, some monkey-powered hovercrafts went berserk in Cooksville, Texas. Sadly, lots of bugs were hurt. Many of them killed, actually. But, let me just think about it. Bugs hopelessly being slaughtered by monkey-powered hovercrafts. Who put these simian little creatures in hovercrafts? Duh! Okay, let's get on to the news story.
Yes, that was me, back when I was young, beautiful, and the world was new. But if we're gonna talk about voices, we have to start with one of my absolute heroes. His name might not instantly ring a bell, heathen. But if you're listening to this, he's almost certainly a huge part of your life.
Listen, Doc. Now, don't spread this around. But, confidentially, I am a wabbit! Hankering for trouble, eh? Well, I would like a trip to Europe. I would like to introduce myself. Rat, dirty, Turkish, Arkabat, Flatten, Fortin, Philip, Bucket, Martin, Perkaluma, Burton, Durton, Boston, Martin, and Adam.
Melvin Jerome Blanc was born on May 30th, 1908 in San Francisco, California. Mel, like most goofball theatrical types, started performing in school plays and eventually dropped out of high school altogether. He was also an accomplished music conductor, routinely performing vaudeville shows up and down the West Coast. During his travels, he met and married fellow vaudevillian Estelle Rosenbaum, and in 1932, the couple moved to Los Angeles. Once established in California, Mel began gigging on a very popular radio show.
No, Mr. Benny. Please tune up the violin. I will make the A on the piano. No, you are flat. Pull the string up a little tighter. Okay. Tighter. Oh, darn it, the string broke. Good, that's 1 down and 3 to go.
Jack Benny, the show's host, took such a shine to Mel that he included him more and more throughout the show's radio run, and eventually its jump to television. Mel and Jack worked together nearly uninterrupted for almost 35 years, and even after the show ended, they would often appear together, like on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show.
One day, my writers and I got together and we said, let's play a dirty trick on Mel Blanc and see what he does at rehearsal. He must comment on it. So we said, let's write in an English horse. For no reason. Now, we thought certainly he must say to us, what the hell does this mean, an English horse? He never said a word to us. Never opened his mouth. When it came time to do the English horse, this is what he did. And we didn't even know it.
Much as I love Jack Benny, and I highly recommend looking him up on YouTube if you haven't already, that's not what made Mel Blanc, Mel Blanc. In 1937, Treg Brown, a sound editor at Warner Brothers, was tasked by producer Leon Schlesinger to find someone to do voices for their burgeoning cartoon series. Animated talkies were still relatively fresh novelties then, ushered in just 9 years earlier by Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie. Mel was brought in initially to perform a drunken bull, but was soon promoted to headline as Porky Pig, then Daffy Duck, and by the start of World War II, he had become not just the voice of merry melodies, but one of the most respected figures in show business.
I am known as the man with 1,000 voices. Shall I do my stuff? Yes, go right ahead. That's a joke, son. That's a joke. What's that? Yes, that's a joke. Everybody wants to get into the act. But that was only in 999 voices. Shucks, I know I've got another one. Well, I'll think of it.
The voice of animation's golden age was Mel Blanc, but in 1961, that voice very nearly fell silent. While driving on Sunset Boulevard near the UCLA campus, Mel's car was struck in a head-on collision, sending him to hospital with numerous broken bones and fractures in a deep, near-fatal coma. For 2 weeks, Mel remained unconscious and unresponsive. Warner Brothers even went so far as to approach Stan Freberg, who had previously voiced Pete Puma and the Three Bears in several Looney Tunes cartoons, about taking over Mel's characters. Stan, God bless him, instantly declined the offer. Almost as a lark, one of the neurologists monitoring Mel decided to try something. Standing beside the comatose actor, the doctor clapped his hands and shouted, "Bugs, can you hear me?" Miraculously, Mel responded,
Me, what's up, Doc?
The doctor did it again. "Porky, can you hear me?"
I can hear you.
Thank God that wasn't all, folks. Though bedridden in the hospital for months afterwards, Mel continued to work, in fact providing most of Barney Rubble's material for the Flintstones while in a full body cast.
One frosty one coming up. Straws, please. Thank you. Sorry.
As a side note, if you're curious about the neurological mechanics of how Mel came back from the brink, the podcast Radiolab has a whole episode that dives deeper into this particular character study. Anyway, even after his accident and Warner Brothers phasing out the Looney Tunes theatrical shorts in the mid-60s, Mel continued to work steadily through the 70s and 80s. He was even approached by George Lucas to be the voice of C-3PO for Star Wars, who was originally intended to be a slick, sleazy car salesman type. After watching footage of Anthony Daniels in the suit in Tunisia, Mel suggested that the live-action performer's stuffy English accent was probably better suited for the character and declined the part. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Despite working predominantly for Warner Brothers, Mel did in fact, roping us back into today's theme, perform voices for Disney on 2 occasions. He voiced Figaro and Gideon in Pinocchio, as well as Bugs, Daffy, Porky, Tweety, and Sylvester in my favorite movie of all time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, ain't I a stinker?
Yosemite Sam does appear with his biscuits burning in Roger Rabbit, but is performed instead by Joe Lasky, as Mel, then at 80 years old, had difficulty with Sam's boisterous, raspy howl. Sadly, this was a sign of things to come. On July 10th, 1989, Mel Blanc passed away. It would take the work of several voice actors like Maurice LaMarche, Billy West, Jim Cummings, Greg Berger, Bill Farmer, Bob Bergen, D. Bradley Baker, the late Joe Lasky, and even more talented actors to carry on Mel's epic legacy. In 1994, my mom and grandparents took me to the Warner Brothers Studio store at the Cherry Creek Mall to meet and get autographs from the cast of Animaniacs, and you better believe there'll be a whole other episode dedicated to that second golden age of animation. Tress MacNeille was out sick, but I did get to meet Rob Paulson and Jess Harnell, and afterwards we toured the store for, in my recollection, the very first time. The Warner Brothers Studio stores often displayed animation cells and various art pieces for sale, and one lithograph, very fittingly, rang my bell for the rest of my life. With their heads bowed in reverence, Bugs, Daffy, Foghorn Leghorn, Pepe Le Pew, and others stood beside a lonely, spotlit microphone with the caption, "Speechless." Mel Blanc, the man of 1,000 voices.
That's right! You win the $64 question! Good night, sweet prince. And that's the end.
And this wasn't it wasn't just the movies either. I remember I went my first time going to Disney World. I was 4, and I don't really remember that. Then I went again when I was in 6th grade, and when I went to the parks when I was in 6th grade, that's when it really stuck.
Yeah.
I think that's when, I mean, it was always like, oh yeah, I like Disney movies, I loved Aladdin, I love Lion King, I love all this. But then, my first time going to the parks where I was old enough to remember it, that's when, like, the lights switched on, like, it's not just, like, something I'm a fan of, it's something I'm, like just need, like a drug on.
This is my jam.
Yeah, this is my jam, this is me.
Yeah.
And then, every time I've gone back after that, too, it's just been, I just love the detail. I mean, you see it in their films and in the parks, just the little attention to detail. I just love that, and just the kind of the creativity. And I mean, I'm not really in the artistic field of creating film or creating rides or Imagineering, but just when you look at that detail they put into it, just in any kind of work they do, just kind of, I was like, I want to put that detail and that kind of effort into my work, and I think that's kind of that's where I really go back to, like, why I love Disney, and, like, it really started with that trip to the parks, I think, is where it really came online as, like, an obsession.
Nice.
You were, earlier this year, at D23.
Oh my gosh. I hope you have another hour to talk.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead. All right, so you went with Christy, and for how long did you go?
So, this is my first trip to Anaheim, to Disneyland. So growing up, I went to the Disney World a lot. I know Disney World, like, I read so many books on it, I know, like, the back of my hand, but I was never really familiarized with Disneyland. They were like, what if we go to D23 and then 2 days at the park? So it was 5 days of, Disney. So we did the first 3 days at D23, and then the next 2 days at California Adventure, and then Disneyland.
And what was your impression of California Adventure?
I absolutely loved it, and I don't want to say this right now because I've only been there once, and it's the park that's I just recently went to, but it may be one of my favorites. Well, it is one of my favorites, and I don't want to say it's my favorite right now. I think it's just the whole, like, it being new that made it really special. But yeah, I really loved California Adventure.
That's awesome. What was your favorite ride there?
Oh my gosh, I loved was it Grizzly Peak?
Yes. Okay.
I love that whole section. Like, Soarin', the whole, like, when you walk in, you have that big billboard for for Grizzly Peak. I just loved it so much. Because it's a small park, so you could do a lot of the rides more than once, and we did Grizzly Peak 3 times just because I just loved it.
No, good choice, very good choice. Now, was it still the Tower of Terror while you were there, or was it already?
It was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, I have not been on that yet. Did you guys go on it?
Yeah, and it is. So I love Tower of Terror, and it's not in the like. I love Twilight Zone. I think it's one of the best television shows ever made, and I love Rod Serling.
Same here. Yeah.
Tower of Terror, I just loved, independent of the whole Twilight Zone thing. I didn't care that they were changing it, the Guardians of the Galaxy. But oh my god, I thought, okay, it's going to be the same thing, just kind of changed a little bit. But no, they changed it. It's the frequency of going up and down. It's no, like, you go up, you wait a little bit, then drop, wait a little bit, then, like, shoot back up. You're just constantly going up and down. And it's so funny. So the way it's set up is you get into the collector's, his collection there, and Rocket. So all the Guardians of the Galaxy have been captured, and Rocket's trying to rescue them. And you're getting to the briefing, and Rocket's like, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to snap this so it, disrupts the alarm, and then we'll escape. So then you're in the ride, and you move forward into the part where you're going to drop. And you see Rocket. He has, like, he's getting ready to, like, cut the cord so the alarm and everything's good to go. Of course, he cuts it, and it doesn't go as planned, and it goes pitch black. And then Jackson 5's "I Want You Back" starts playing, and he just drops. Right. And it's just, and it's great because you have Jackson 5 playing the entire time, and then you see, like, the Guardians trying to escape as well. It's a lot of fun.
I like someone experiencing primal fear with baby Michael Jackson singing in their ear.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. So describe the scene like it's basically Disney Comic-Con. Essentially.
It is Disney. I've never been to Comic-Con, and when I say Comic-Con, I'm talking about San Diego. But I'd almost say it's for me at least, and almost bigger because D23 got all the Marvel and Star Wars announcements that were not at San Diego Comic-Con. Okay, so day one, we get there and we wait in line for hours. And basically what they have is the expo floor opened at 9 o'clock, and everybody started lining up, hours in advance. So Christy and I, we didn't want to go straight to the expo floor. We wanted to go to one of the panels. But the problem is the people working D23, they're workers for the Anaheim Convention Center. They're not cast members. So I don't think they know D23 as much as the fans do.
And they're not that invested.
They're not that invested.
As the fans are.
So we're trying to ask them hey, where do we get in line for this panel? And I guess they just assumed we meant the expo floor. So they kept pointing us in all these different lines, and all the lines that we kept getting in were for the expo floor. And we're like, no, we don't want to get in here. We wanted to go to the panel first. And somehow, just by sheer luck, somebody caught on there's two different things, and they pointed us to the right line, and we got to go to the first panel, which was the history of merchandise and clothing, that Disney's had.
Which is a long history, storied history.
It is a long history, and it's one of the best panels because they actually filled a bag up full of merchandise that they gave out.
See, that's crazy.
It totaled I'd guess about $200 worth of stuff in the bag they gave us. So
Jesus.
It was really impressive. So we did that first.
And so what kind of stuff did you get in there?
Let's see if I have anything here.
Oh. This is a podcast with show and tell.
Yeah. Let's see. The coolest thing they gave us, not coolest, but I don't know, neat thing they gave us was a $50 gift card to the Disney store, so it was kind of just whatever you wanted. I got a Spider-Man mask where you put on your, you put on your face and you move your mouth, and the mouth for the mask moves as well.
That's awesome.
A couple items of jewelry. There's a Darth Vader bracelet, and then a poison apple necklace. I didn't keep those. I gave them to Christy and gave them to a friend here.
Oh, nice. You're just such a good man, Joe.
Yeah, the poison apple necklace didn't look good on me. I got a Minnie Mouse hat. I got a few pieces of art. They gave out a kind of scene of, not a scene, but a little print of all Pixar characters. Which is nice, and that pretty much filled up the bag. But between the $50 gift card, the necklaces, those were all total at least $150 right there. So it was good loot.
That's the Disney touch right there.
It is. It's we paid. I think they understand that we paid a lot of money and to get down there and be part of the convention. And they were it's kind of here's a reward. We know you're good fans. We want you to have this.
So what was your favorite panel that you went to?
So we only went to 4 panels. So immediately after this panel, we booked it to the Pixar Animation and Disney Animation Studios panel. Mm-hmm. And so each day they have 2 big panels, that are where thousands of people can go attend in the big hall. We did 2 of those. We did 2 of the big ones and then 3 of kind of the smaller side ones. And the best one, I think, is the Pixar Animation one. And obviously, since it's the bigger, kind of more showy one, I think that's why it was the best. Mm-hmm. But the merchandise one, comparatively, was still really cool. It's smaller, and it wasn't meant to be as flashy and showy, but it was still really cool. But yeah, the Pixar one, that was just, it's everything you'd want from a panel of just seeing all the celebrities, all the announcements of the movies.
Mm-hmm. And John Lasseter was there, I believe.
John Lasseter, yeah, and everything you hear about John Lasseter is true. He's just as fun and just full of life as you expect.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Just seeing him on stage and hearing him talk, there's just so much energy and so much creativity and just so much I want to, what you do and how you do stuff, I need to incorporate that into my life so I can be better at my job too.
Well, Walt, you see, tomorrow I'm doing an hour television show with a large cast and crew, and I thought that instead of taking him to dinner after the show at the bistro or Chasen's, that just for a change, I thought it'd be kind of nice if I took him through Disneyland. That is, if it's all right with you.
Oh, Jack, I think it's a wonderful idea. How many people are there?
110. That's not too many, is it?
No, no. In fact, we have a special department that handles large groups at a discount.
A discount?
Yeah, that means...
I know what it means.
That's our show. Thanks again for listening, and hopefully you'll be hearing some more geeky kvetching soon. Special thanks to Kara Britton, Jeff Delaroy, Mark Malpezzi, and the AOKs. Talk at you soon, everybody. Love ya. This has been the Treehouse Recorder, a Longtown Productions presentation.
Oh, son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?